Hey guys, it's Becky Jennings. I'm the creator of The Balance Method. I'm really excited to talk to you about this topic today because we don't do it enough. We say yes to so many things and very rarely do we say no. There's a lot of power behind saying no, and I want to tell you why. I'm also coming to you as a reformed people pleaser. I used to say yes to everything. If someone needed me, if somebody wanted me to do something extra on a project, if somebody wanted me to train 2 hours away, I would always say yes. I had this gut feeling of guilt and shame, and I felt bad, and so I would say yes, even though I didn't want to do it. You know, there's a story. There was a guy who was at the gym with me, and he asked me to be a part of a project. I had said yes because I felt like I had to because he had asked, and I was a part of it for a little bit. I realized it wasn't moving the needle at all for me and my business. It wasn't really serving anybody else but him, and I was actually really diving deep into my own business at the time, and it was robbing a lot of that time and productivity for me. So he asked me to do something else, and it was a much larger thing, like hours and hours and hours of work. Instead of saying no on the spot, I said I was going to think about it and see if I could do it. But I really did think about it. I was like, do I have to do this? Should I do this? Can I do this? Do I have the time to give? And I approached him the next day and I said, honestly, I don't have enough time in my own business. I'm gonna have to say no. And the reaction to saying no was really telling. From that moment on, he hasn't spoken to me. I realized that the relationship that we had was how can I serve him, not how can we mutually benefit each other. It was funny, I was walking past him about 3 minutes later and he said, okay, now I'll pay you if you want to do this project. And I said, oh, that's interesting. Now that I've said no, now you'll pay me? That would have been the original mutual exchange and I might have said yes. So I bring that up because that was a moment for me when I realized the beauty and the power of saying no. I realized I have every single right to say no when it's not bringing any extra value to my life, it's not moving the needle forward in my business, and it's gonna be a huge, huge time suck. So I have 4 things that I want you to think about every single time somebody approaches you to do something and you might feel that guilt and that, I feel like I have to do this, but you kind of don't want to. So I want you to ask 4 questions. Number 1, who is this serving? Is this serving just that person? Is it serving a greater good? Is it serving the community? Who is this serving? If you find out that it's really probably just serving that person, then you kind of have that, or you do have that ability to say, I'm sorry, it just doesn't work for me. Number 2, what are the emotions that you're experiencing? Our bodies are really smart. We get a stomach ache if we feel guilty or bad, like our heart might hurt. So think about what you're feeling. What physical sensations are you experiencing? What are your thoughts? What's that gut feeling? I find that my gut is rarely, if ever, wrong. So if I want to say no immediately, it's probably right and I should say no. Number 3, what is the value that you bring versus the time that you're giving up? Is all the time that you're investing in this one request going to bring more value than the time that you could have? So think about that time value ratio. If you're going to be giving tons and tons of time and the value is so small, you're just really doing somebody a favor, you might want to think about saying no. And number 4, are you growing as a person or are you just putting more stuff on your plate? We, especially women, we say yes to everything and we feel like we have to take care of everybody. But when you're doing these things and when you're saying yes, are you growing as a person? Are you elevating yourself so that you can elevate those around you? Or are you just adding more tasks to your plate? So I want you to ask those 4 questions. And trust me, it's hard to say no, and I get it, but it's a skill and you have to practice it. Say no 1 time this week. Seriously, say no 1 time this week. Then it'll be easier to say no the next time and the next time. And I promise you, you will have more time. You will be a stronger individual. You'll know your sense of worth. And quite honestly, you'll grow and elevate as a person. All right, guys, until next time, love big, live vibrantly, and shine bright, my friends.